Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I analyse Act 1, Scene 1 of William Shakespeare's Macbeth. It's part of a continuing series, so please do subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, it really does help. So Act 1, Scene 1 is one of the most famous scenes in Macbeth. It's the first time the audience gets to see the witches in the play. And we're invited into a mysterious world inhabited by creatures which, as of yet, we are unsure whether they're for good or evil. Shakespeare uses the witches as a way of pulling the audience in, and we actually arrive at the end of whatever has been going on. So the first line that we hear is, "When shall we three meet again?" Now, in Elizabethan times, the witches would have been a huge draw for audiences because there was a big interest and belief in the witchcraft and supernatural activity. So the witches' meeting is complete, it's finished, and whatever they were up to, we can only guess. So Shakespeare is very clever in the way he's constructed this sort of moment in the play, because it prompts our curiosity about who the witches are and what role they are going to take in the further scenes and acts of Macbeth. It helps to set the scene, and this is a dark world where there's confusion and everything isn't quite as it seems, and that's a recurring theme in this whole play, the difference between appearance and reality. So the scene opens with thunder and lightning and continues with the witches talking about hurly-burly in a battle that is lost and won, and this sense of things being not what they seem, or appearances versus reality, is actually very important for the rest of the play, because most of the important points in this text are based on this contrast between appearance and reality. The scene closes as we, the audience, are really none the wiser about what is happening. The last line is one that you probably remember: "Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and the filthy air," or perhaps that should be "fair is foul," etc. This line seems to, or these two lines, sorry, seem to reinforce the idea that this is a frightening, mysterious world where the supernatural holds some power. The fact that Shakespeare structures the play so as to show this to the audience first is quite significant. Clearly, he wants to establish that the supernatural and this very dark atmosphere will have a strong kind of, importance in the play. Now a little bit about form and structure. You'll notice that when the witches speak in Scene 1, they speak in rhyme. You can see here that fair rhymes with air. And we call this rhyming couplets, where you've got two lines that rhyme with each other, and then the next two lines rhyme with each other, etc. And Shakespeare was a master of language, and what he did was he chose different styles of language to signify the importance or rank of the person speaking. So, for example, noble characters in this play speak in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter is one of those things that many people find very confusing, but very simply, it's where you have 5 stressed and 5 unstressed syllables in a line. And that is the simple rule. A line of 10 syllables, and they alternate each syllable whether you stress it or not. Now, I know as a teacher, many people are kind of like, what does that mean, this stressing thing? So let me give you an example. So here's a line from this scene, and fixed his head upon our battlements. And, you can see from what the bits I've put in bold here, which syllables are stressed. Now that means where you put the emphasis when you're reading. So the way you would read this is, "and fixed his head upon our battlements." And you can see the kind of energy, the stress is the technical term, but the kind of power, the emphasis is on every other syllable. "And fixed his head upon our battlements." So this gives a sort of sing-song quality to the lines, really. And if you replace the actual words with just the sounds, it's sort of da-dum, 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 da-dum. and that is what is known as blank verse. Shakespeare uses blank verse a lot. It simply means the words don't have to rhyme, but it must be written in iambic pentameter. Now, of course, that's different to the witches because their lines do rhyme, and they speak in a slightly different way. So Shakespeare does this in all of his plays pretty much, and it's really important because the sort of characters like the witches then who don't use iambic pentameter, it's very good in your sort of assessments or examinations if you can point out, the way they speak, the type of language used and how that reflects the character. So, back to the witches. The witches' use of rhyming couplets gives a very sinister air to the play. It's like a nursery rhyme, but much darker and full of evil. It's difficult to appreciate the effect of these witches now in the 21st century, but to us we might think rhyming and spells is kind of silly and childish and, something from a Disney movie, but not at all in Shakespeare's time where, sort of witchcraft was sort of held much more seriously. Now, the way that the witches talk is in trochaic tetrameter. Now, again, that's like, well, what do those words mean? But it's quite easy to understand once you break it down. A trochee is the opposite of an iamb. So where the iamb contains two syllables with the first one unstressed and the second one stressed, a trochee is the other way around, a stressed followed by an unstressed. So the example that we looked at earlier, fair is foul and foul is fair. You can see just slightly emboldened here, fair, foul, foul, fair. Those are the words that are stressed. So it goes stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. So the word tetrameter just means there are 4 pairs of these trochees. And the trochaic tetrameter added to the rhyming couplets makes for an entertaining scene and a clear break on Shakespeare's part between the witches and the other characters in the play. If you found this video useful, it's all this information can be found in my ebook on Macbeth, so watch the following little advert. If you found this video useful, download the revision guide, Mr. Bruff's Guide to William Shakespeare's Macbeth at mrbruff.com/buy. The link is in the description. It costs just £2. It's over 300 pages in length. It contains the complete original text, a modern translation into modern English, and a detailed analysis of every scene, and a link to a video in every chapter too. Please buy a copy today by following the link in the description.